So this upcoming week, we're going to be having Uranus entering Gemini. I have a full video of that on my YouTube, and if you're watching the recap, it's already there. Then we have Venus trine Pluto the same day. And then we have a full moon in Capricorn on the 10th, which we'll have a full video on as well. And then also with my newsletter, if you sign up to that, I'll have a ritual coming out with that as well to kind of hone in on this Capricorn full moon. This Capricorn full moon is going to be really cool, by the way. Then on the 12th, right? The 12th, Saturn stations retrograde. Crazy. And that's it as far as transits go for this week. Yeah, I think it's important to be evolved within friendship. Yeah, it's kind of like something I really pride myself on, I'll be honest, because it's like, I don't know, I've had experiences where it's like things I've shared with people haven't been kept in like confidence, and I don't know, it just hurts. So I really tried. Can you explain? Yeah, I can do that for you. Okay, let's hop over here. Okay. Whoa. Oh, it's this you're seeing? Okay, cool. Daddy issues? No. Okay, we've got to just stop saying that Saturn's daddy issues. Oh yeah, Gabby, this is like your first time, huh? Welcome. It's almost like I did streaming for a long time. It's like I got shit on deck for all this. Cool transitions. Yeah, hit me up if you guys ever get into streaming. I can help you build stuff. A silent. I'm really glad that you're using your voice. Okay. So on the 7th, Bela, stop. She just yells at him like an old lady all the time. So Uranus, woohoo, moves into Gemini. Again, I did a full video on this, so definitely watch that. But since we're here, we're going to talk about it now. So this is big. I'm not gonna lie, this is big. And like, if you already watched my video about it earlier, because I think I shared it in the Discord, Uranus is our planet of disruption, of change, of evolution, of awakening. It's very akin to the Tower card. And it's... I think I tried to keep things pretty level-headed in my YouTube videos, so I think I'm going to use this as the opportunity to be like a little bit more blunt about Uranus moving into Gemini. This is... I feel like this is going to rock some people's realities. Like, rock them. In a good way, in a bad way. It's up to you ultimately on your ability to handle chaos, to handle sudden change, to handle... It's like nervous system regulation sort of energy. So it can be a lot. It can be a lot. So is it like Scorpio energy? No. It's Aquarius energy. So Uranus is rules over Aquarius. So think of like alien energy or like outcast energy, or it's no. Pluto is more related to Scorpio. So I describe Uranus as flashes of lightning. So the thing, I actually sat down and meditated on Uranus moving into Gemini, and like literally sat with the entity of Uranus into Gemini. Like I was sitting with a being and asking him questions of like, what is this? What does this mean? And the thing that was so profound with that happening was he said, I do not make unintentional strikes, like strikes of lightning. Like each strike is meaningful, is intentional, and whether it causes disruption in your day-to-day life, it has purpose. Like, it's very much so like there is intention behind these shifts, behind these. I wonder if you guys can hear my cats. Hey, Solus. It's sometimes so hard to focus with them yelling at each other. Come here, Bella. Come on. Anyways, I kind of have been relating it to, yeah, they're loud. They're loud. I've been relating it to the Tower card, you know, the imagery of the tower, the people jumping out, the lightning striking. It's not, here's the thing. This is an outer planet. Let me preface this for anybody that's new to astrology. This is an outer planet. Yes. 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 Thank you, Gabby. I'm going to read that for anybody who's watching the recap. And I'm getting like head chills. And this was something that I had mentioned as well in my video. Gabby said, wildfires caused by lightning strikes is one of the most common reasons for wildfire, but it could be good and healthy and necessary for the forest ecosystem to clear out overgrowth. Yeah, and my whole crown's tingling reading that. Like, it's not necessarily like bad. Sometimes we need to have things be we need to go through upheaval, essentially, because we're not going to do it. We're comfortable where we're at. We're happy, like we're just content where we're at, and we need external things to shift us into new ways of thinking, new ways of perceiving things. And with Uranus moving into Gemini, Gemini rules our mind. Again, I have some deeper feelings that some people might actually like. It might be really, really hard for people to wrap their heads around certain things happening in our external reality, because outer planets tend to rule over more of society as a whole, as a collective of what the world's going through. It's the world stage more likely, but it can affect us personally as well, especially if it's transiting over personal planets or through certain things. Oh, girl, wait until you see my You need to listen to Scorpio rising on my Uranus and Gemini video. So I like to, you know, I'm under the belief that we've chosen to reincarnate and be here. I'm an reincarnation kind of person, where it's like you chose your chart to come and to evolve and to grow into these parts of yourself. So, but obviously if that shoe fits for you, great. If it doesn't, like, that's totally fine as well. You know, we're here to grow and evolve, and to grow and evolve. Yeah. Amen. That's what the Phoenix is. Yeah. Like, death and rebirth is really important, and that's more Plutonian cycles. And this feels more akin to like a snake shedding its skin. Like, it's not that full death. It's more of like that molting, like you have to break free of skin that's been too tight, too restrictive, and you might need external things to bring that in. And sometimes it can be internal. You might have things happening within the like mind's eye where you're processing things a bit more. But again, this Gemini energy, it's really, really profound. It's how I talked about it in my YouTube video was more related to the fact that like Gemini is all about technology, about thinking, about learning, about, you know, exploring curiosity. And so it's like, it's really opening the door to like, what have we been taught? Is it true? Is it not true? What is the truth? Where like, it's kind of this unveiling. And I feel a lot of people, especially Uranus, is all about awakenings, about downloads. I see a lot of people who haven't shifted into like going through awakenings yet. For some people it's going to be really intense and the reality is going to be rocked. For those people who have gone through some minor like spiritual awakenings or things like that, like this is going to be the next evolution of it at a certain level. I've already been feeling this, and that's why it took me so long to make my video about it. I was like, oh, I should do it sooner. But I was going through like the last final degrees. We're in the last final degrees of Uranus and Taurus. And it's kind of like this shaking up of like the last rigidity that was clinging, and I know that's been affecting some people on a personal level. Like there's some shifts that are happening. You know, this this feels like I see a lot of technology advancing during this time, because if we look at the cyclical nature of Uranus in Gemini, the last time it was in Gemini was 1941 to 1949, which was during World War III or World War II. And that's when communication shifted drastically. That's when early computing was starting. That's when duality became a lot sharper, and that's sort of that Gemini energy. And something that, you know, I don't go into predictions of stuff. That's not really my purpose for astrology. I'm an evolutionary astrologer. I like to bring things in to help us evolve as people versus like trying to guess what's going to happen, because I've found that if I'm trying to predict the future, like, again, it makes me think of The Alchemist. It's like, you know, like, if you could predict the future, it's because God is giving you the chance to change your fate, kind of thing, where it's like, I'm not going to go into predictive astrology. That's if you're looking for that, you might need to go to another space. I'm always talking about what's available for us. How can we use this energy to evolve and grow? And it's kind of like a heads up of like, hey, by the way, this is happening. So if you feel your nervous system is kind of going AWOL, that's what's happening. Uranus moving into Gemini is very like akin to nervous system shakeups. Like I almost heard I was gonna say uploads. I don't know. That was wild. I would assume that there's gonna be more breakthroughs with AI specifically is gonna come to, especially with Pluto in Aquarius as well. Like, that's just the next level of our evolution as people. Like, that's the next technology boom. It's already starting. It's just going to snowball from here. I see like education shifting. That's already been happening, especially because of 2020 and, you know, the pandemic. Like, that already started shifting the trajectory of education. Oh my gosh. My cat's got fluffy tail mode right now. I like, it's fun, to be honest, but I also, again, I'm like kind of a emotional masochist. I love growth and evolution, and I think it's really fun. My spirits told me to have fun, and I don't know how. I just keep trying to grow and evolve. Isn't that the fun? Isn't that what this is about? This is something I talked about in my video as well. So if you're watching this live, awesome. If you're catching the recap, I'd say just go watch my Uranus and Gemini video for more in depth. But Gemini rules over communication and storytelling. That's something that I've been really honing in on, the fact that a lot of information that we have now is just stories that have been passed down. We don't have... Thank you. Yeah, I think so too. I'm going to read your message. To be honest, broad explanations on how to grow as a person is much more useful than what's going to happen next week at 5 p.m. Yeah. I feel that as well, because it's like we all have authority to shift and change who we are. I can't change that the sun's gonna set at 8:15. I'm just gonna work around that, you know? Yeah. So this the storytelling narrative is really, really profound here, because I feel with Uranus moving into Gemini, a lot of illusions of what we've been taught are going to be broken through, whether that's on a personal level, like, you know, your upbringing. And it makes me think of Mastery of Love for my people who've read it. Awesome. For those of you who haven't, there's parts in there where it's like essentially just realizing that we're just operating from the programming of our parents, and our parents are operating from the programming of their parents. And it's just this collective programming that's been existing, and this is really shaking loose those mental programmings. And the invitation of this is like, what stories are you still telling yourself that need to be disruptive? Like, you need to, like, there's things that need to be broken free. I've already been going through it the last couple days of like, oh, whoa, shit, and just like more layers of things that are surfacing. But it's like, okay, how can I lean into this from the lens of love and like compassion for myself as a human? But you know, Gemini, the thing that I spoke about in my YouTube video that I want to bring up here, because it's kind of something that's I noticed literally watching my nieces today, and literally like conversations I've had with other people, is like co-regulation. Like, Gemini is the twins, it's the duality. It's like, I feel that it's going to be very important for us to connect to like-minded people, for us to be around people that like to be in that co-regulated state, and not a codependent space, but like being able to hold the frequency of other people and likewise them hold us, and like center yourself. I did it with my niece today. I noticed if I just spoke in a very soft tone to her, that she would match my level. She wouldn't yell, she wouldn't be loud, because I'm really sensitive to sound, and I really struggle with like loud noises. So I'm like, I'm just gonna like, you know, keep my energy at a certain threshold, and she met me there. It's as simple as that. But having the tools to like regulate yourself and like invite people into that energy can take a lot of practice. I feel that that's going to be very important for this Uranus and Gemini energy. Gemini, again, it's kind of like this binary energy of like, you know, this and that, and it's going to be like trying to find the balance between whatever's present within you. And I feel like having profound conversations with people and connecting with people and processing out loud is going to be, and like actually hearing other people's perspectives is going to be really important as well. So yeah, I definitely, like, the big thing I see is this is literally like mental evolution. Like, this is really going to, I also feel this is highlighting neurodivergence on a broader scale of like recognizing that that's like the next human evolution is like neurodivergence, because that's the brain really trying to understand how to fit into this space. It's going to probably be more normalized because more people are realizing, oh shit, like this is how I operate, and there's going to be more awareness around that as well. So yeah, this is fun. Let's shift this into hours. We're gonna go back a little bit because it's gonna be like really early in the morning. Trying to find Venus at 2 degrees. There we go. Venus is going to be sextile Pluto. Sextile, that's a trine. Gosh, I can't even speak. And is still technically sextiling these guys over here as well, which I talked about in the last live stream. That energy is still present. Oh, that's technically the 6th. That's today. Really late. What? Yoop. Cool. So this is really nice. And again, Uranus is gonna be in this energy eventually as well. So Venus is kind of paving the way right now. Venus moved into Gemini last week on the 4th. We had a lot of shifts. My last video talked about that more in depth. Same with my newsletter. If you're not on my newsletter, go ahead and sign up. It should be for those of you who are with me live. It's there. And for those of you who are joining me on the recap, it should be linked down below. Okay, Venus in Gemini trine Pluto in Aquarius. Again, this is happening early morning on the 7th. This is where love meets depth, right? Venus in Gemini is very flirtatious, very communicative. I can say words. Yep. And then Pluto is the deepest parts of our psyche, right? Pluto in Aquarius has really been shaking shit up too. This is like, where I find that conversations here become alchemical. Like, it's going to be a process of like, your words have a lot more power here. Oh, buddy, don't chew on the electrical cords. He's going to kill himself. I mean, in Minecraft. Yum is right. Yeah, I feel like you can say something that changes everything and creates like deeper invitations of expansion, right? There's more shadow themes within love, money, intimacy, rising, and especially how we intellectualize feelings, right? Because Venus in Gemini is more thinking about the feelings instead of feeling the feelings. So it's more of a heady experience, but this trine to Pluto kind of like cracks it open. I see like the fault line card in my mind's eye from my archetype stack. It kind of like creates this opening. Will communication be easier or more difficult? If we look at some of the connecting parts here, like this Venus in Gemini is ruled by this Mercury in Leo. Mercury in Leo is very bold. This Mercury in Leo is ruled by the Sun in Cancer, and the Sun in Cancer is ruled by, like, it goes back and forth. Feel like it's been really easier to communicate, or there's just none at all. I think there's, with me going through all of this, there's again that deeper invitation to like look at your natal chart too and see where this is falling in your chart and seeing if it's touching on anything at a personal level, because what I'm saying is pretty broad energy. It's not like what I say is not going to be perfectly fit to your experience. I feel like if you want to dive deeper, if you want to open that invitation, like it's like the invitation's there with all these transits, like the energy's present, I would say this is a great time for like deeper communication. And again, with this air energy of Pluto in Aquarius and Venus in Gemini, air signs, it opens things up to be a little bit, it's kind of a balance of the head and the heart for me. And it reminds me a lot of like, I like to bring in practical applications to these things. So I think about like my mom tends to process things more on an emotional heart-based level, and both myself and my bonus dad tend to be a little bit more heady with processing things. And so like we always invite each other to like meet in the middle and like see things from the different perspectives. And I feel like this transit opens that up to be a little bit more, it's like creating depth, but also like there's curiosity around the depth and not like fear-based, I guess. It's more like childlike. The image I got is like, you know, like a curious child like exploring like kind of a dark pond, and it's like foggy out, but like there's no fear because nobody's told this child to be afraid of any of these things yet. You know, I see like deeper attraction to the people who actually meet us where we're at and want to like dig deeper into the mystery of who we are. And so it's like, if you're feeling that and you're feeling that call to like dive deeper into another person, like this is a great time for that. And that actually feels really yummy. There's a lot of power within the voice as well, because Venus is in Gemini, and that activates the voice. Again, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is in Leo, and Leo wants to say all this stuff. Yeah, this is actually really fun. This is like, it brings intensity without chaos, right? We kind of dive into some chaos with Uranus moving into Gemini. So there's kind of like these electric like shockwaves. You know, there's little like, oh, this was something I wanted to talk about in like Uranus moving into Gemini video, and I totally spaced it, but I guess I wasn't meant to say it in that, but I'll say it to you guys here. You know, there's like a little electric orbs that you could put your hand on and like the static electricity goes through you. That's kind of the feeling I get with Uranus and Gemini. It's like we're just all being tapped into this like energy of like, whoa, and like there's just electrical currents moving through. And so with Uranus moving into Gemini, like right and then like this transit's literally happening like an hour later at its exactitude. Like we're already feeling this transit coming into close exact conjunction. Like this is already present. Sounds like being drunk. The drunk things that, yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah. I'll read that aloud. Sounds like being drunk. The drunk says the things that they hold deep down that they would never say while sober. Yeah. I like that comparison, but it's like actually being brave enough to like say it sober and like having the like kind of power like that comes with like that at least I can only of course talk from my experience of drinking, where it's like, at least for me, it creates more like seduction, a little bit more of like this like more, yeah, I guess that's definitely the word. Like it feels more like supportive yet seductive yet strategic kind of thing. So it's like, wow, imagine having like your mind working while you're opening your heart up and like having cool conversations. Definitely embodied magnetism through curiosity and play and truth telling. It's almost like telling the truth is like the hottest thing that you could do with this transit. So, and of course, like we have to understand that some people might not be receptive to that. That's okay, but at least you did it. It's more for you, right? So fun shit. I love the conversations happening here. I love being live. Okay, let's jump ahead. Let's do a couple. So we're gonna go to the 10th, and let's bring it to our till the moon is at 18 degrees. I'll be doing a full video on this full moon in Capricorn. Yeah, being honest, it is hot, literally. Drench me in honesty. Come on, y'all. Yeah. So whew, full moon in Capricorn happening on the 10th, y'all. This one feels really, really neat. I'll be honest. FBI, open up. It's a little too personal there. Me, I don't know how to open up. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. So this full moon is kind of sobering in a good way. What's very interesting, so we're looking at the full moon here. The sun is at 18 degrees of Cancer, and the moon will be at 18 degrees of Capricorn. Let's kind of zoom it out here if I can. No? Okay. Well, there we go. So we can see that there. So, fun. Capricorn, the moon is not very comfortable in Capricorn. Anybody who has a native Capricorn moon, I'm sorry. Because it's in detriment in Capricorn, because the sun, like the moon is at home in Cancer, and so then the opposite is Capricorn, and so it's like uncomfy. There's so full moons, let's talk about full moons in general, just kind of like a lighthearted explanation. So full moons are illuminations. It's the sun literally illuminating the moon to its fullest potential, and it illuminates things within our life. That's why lunar cycles can be more deeply emotionally revealing and more personal, especially because the moon changes signs every 2.5 days. So especially for my people that are womb owners, you tend to be a little bit more connected to that cycle, because that's just how we operate. This, when we take the moon and we put it in Capricorn, it's just kind of like out of place. So there's this sort of like letting go of like structures that you built for survival. Like this is kind of like a softening of the sort of rigid control that Capricorn tends to have, like really focused on like, it's like there's a really, really tight grip of like, I've got to like have everything together, and I have to like have all the plans and know and build. You know, there's a spotlight on like emotional labor here, internalized authority when I'm looking at this as well. And this brings in pieces and parts of us that are like, it's like your inner authority figure that's being illuminated, and it's like, hey, can we just like take a break? Please, I'm so tired. But this is also, it might be for some of y'all like, wow, like I've been moving through this, and this is like almost a recognizing of your growth and of your development. You know, Saturn is in Aries right now and about to go retrograde, and this full moon is ruled by this Saturn in Aries, right? It's a sense of kind of like sober reflection that's happening here of like, okay, like where, like it's like a big, there's a lot that's happening this week, I feel like, and this full moon's kind of like that, like deep breath of like, okay, so Uranus just moved into Gemini. What's that feeling like in my body? Getting to know that. And then Saturn's about to go retrograde and gonna bring in this inner reflection. And so it's kind of sitting with this like structure that you've had in yourself. It's kind of like a testing of your internal structures. You know, this is like recognizing the like rule system that you followed. I've been playing the game Peak, and it's funny because they give you like a survival guide at the beginning of it, and it's kind of like, what's your little survival guide that you've been holding on to, that you've been looking at to move through this full moon? You know, it's like getting to this point, like how have you, like what are your coping mechanisms? Are they something you want to continue? Like it really is this illuminating of like these parts of yourself that might just not serve you anymore. So like, yeah, as I like the fact that Saturn goes retrograde like literally a few days later is very interesting. It's like there's like, are you building a life or just maintaining it for performance purposes? You know, I feel like there's a lot of, it's like a sobering moment of like, is this how I want things to be? Okay, if not, that Capricorn energy is really like ready to make like, and the fact that Saturn's going retrograde after it, it's like really honing in on those things that are going to bring us on a internal level and processing our structure that we've been yeah, processing. So this feels like what oh no, she said that a while ago, the need that like what old definitions of success no longer fit anymore, which is really fun to think about. It's like what things feel like they're not a part of your next steps. You know, what does devotion to your own growth actually look like in practice? And this is very, very supportive. We've got a loose trine happening here to Mars and Virgo, a very, very loose trine. I'm going to say that lightly, but this is actually so supportive of like, hey, by the way, it's like I told you guys at the new moon, like setting those like structures and intentions and routines, like Mars and Virgo's ready to like take the steps necessary to carry this forward, to bear the torch of like, what is your devotion to your day-to-day disciplines, and do those fit? And if you don't have them, it's time. I'm calling myself out in this one too, by the way. Like, it's time to lock the fuck in, by the way. That's what this full moon feels like. It's like, hey, it's time. It's time. So I'll dive more into this full moon in another video. I'll be filming that tomorrow, so keep your eye out on my YouTube. But then we've got, let's not do hours, let's do days. Saturn will station retrograde in Aries. That is that on the 13th? I thought it was on the 12th. Oh, it's really late in the evening on the 12th. Okay. So the 13th for some of y'all, depending on where you're at in the world. Yeah. Okay. So that's happening. Whew, y'all. Retrogrades. It's happening. It's retrograde season, it feels like. So planets go retrograde pretty frequently. This isn't new. The one we hear about most is Mercury, because Mercury moves quick as fuck. He's fast as fuck, boy. Like, quick. And Mercury's gonna be going retrograde soon. So lots of internal reflection. Lots. This is, so we have, it's so interesting because Neptune just went retrograde last week, and now this week Saturn goes retrograde in Aries as well. So they're both going backwards. So speaking to what I spoke to last week with, sorry, burps, I'm dying, of Neptune going retrograde, now Saturn's going retrograde in Aries, and this is pretty powerful. I spoke to last week about the fact that we are dancing this line between Pisces and Aries. Like, it started out at the beginning of this year, and then we had so many things retrograding. Venus and Mercury retrograding from Aries back into Pisces and forward again. So that was kind of like our first personal taste of this. It was during an eclipse season. That was mid-March, if you remember mid-March. Fuck. Whew, that shit was rough. This is going to be more that those foundational pieces that we started to put into place after that. We're going back to review and make sure the foundation is sound, and double checking if there's any baggage left in Pisces that we do want to take forward with us into Aries, into this new cycle. So, you know, Saturn in Aries invites a deep audit of our willpower, of our autonomy, of our self-initiation. Like, this really is tied to our ego identity of who am I? And that's been like the biggest thing. By the way, I just realized I've been yapping so much. I fucking love astrology. I love this shit. I can talk about it all the time. God. Thanks for supporting me, you guys. I so appreciate it. Like, this is what I love doing. So getting tested. Everything's a test, Gabby. I don't see it like it can be a test. It's more on an internal level. Retrogrades tend to be more internal processing of reflection, redirection. You know, Aries rules over instinct, action, and assertion, and Saturn retrograde here slows us down to examine why we act, how we feel, where we've misused force and avoided responsibility altogether, right? It's kind of like this ownership act that's happening. I feel almost like it's like picking up pieces of the maybe some destruction that happened, like moving forward, like when Saturn was in Pisces and then moving forward into Aries, because it's going to do this thing where I'll draw it out here. So we've got Saturn here is going to retrograde back into Pisces and then is going to come forward again into Aries, right? Just locking. Oh, I'm going to read what you said. Oh, so people freak out about retrogrades because they don't know how to look within. Yeah, and because mainstream astrology really projects retrogrades to be like things falling apart and technology failing. Mercury retrograde definitely fucks with technology for sure. I always share when I was working in companies, no launches during retrogrades. Like, it's just bound to like not work out well, but that's also where we learn things getting fucked up. We learn when mistakes happen, right? Rap said, this might be out of place, but here's a biblical example. A lot of the book of Leviticus takes place place at the same place, but the people are still growing spiritually, so the people are still moving. Yeah, literally love that. Don't be afraid to share like biblical references at all. I love all different modalities of moving through this stuff. Like, it really is this kind of internal reflection that happens, and Saturn is all about reconstructing our foundations. And we just started embarking onto this path of who am I? So it's like we just started to feel into this, like it's almost like a new identity is like starting to take form, but we need to go back and double check. Like, it's almost like I feel like some people are going to get the opportunity to look back at the life that they have had, and it's like, are you sure? It makes me think of this one video that I shared, I think, in our Discord server, of like some cute little edit of like somebody saying, well, I want this in my life. It was like this cute little animated thing. It was like the person was like, universe, I want this in my life. And the universe was like, okay, then you need to let these things go. And they're like, wait, but I want those things too. And it's like, well, you can't have both. And it's sort of this, that's really Saturn here. And the fact that Saturn and Neptune are retrograde, that really brings in a level of spiritual discontentment, of like really honing in on the depth that is present within our beliefs as well, because Neptune's all about spirituality. It's all about dissolving structures. So that's why I've been really relating this Saturn and Neptune conjunction to like scuff building in Minecraft, where you're like literally destroying a block behind you, placing a block in front of you, walking forward. And it's just like this process where your foundation is like, you're destroying a foundation while building a new one, but destroying that one in the same process, because like it's kind of been like a fast-paced evolution. And so now it's kind of like you get to look back at the path that you came from and really hone in on like, is this it? Is this what I want to do? Like, because there might be different opportunities, especially with Uranus moving into Gemini, might throw you a fucking curveball. Left field. I just got Twilight in my head when they're playing baseball. I don't know. So like, you know, this is genuinely like an energetic checkpoint. It's the path of mature individualization. Like, yeah, I love Twilight too. Oh yeah, where Twilight stands here. So I just literally saw like Alice in her outfit. Yeah, the baseball scene. Like, it's kind of like this like weird, I feel like that's like happening on an internal level of like this like game of like intense out of pocket wicked baseball. I don't know if the shoe fits, I guess, but there's gonna be sort of invitation for you to redefine like what discipline looks like for you. But discipline that fuels freedom, not control. Like, yeah. And so then it's going to go back into Pisces, which Saturn in Pisces was really having us redefine our belief systems. Again, with Neptune here as well, we're still in that process. And until Saturn comes out of conjunction with Neptune, will we really have space from that more spiritual aspect of it and start defining the identity outside of that and like creating a bigger container for it. But right now they're like just side by side, and it feels very intentional that this is what's happening in our reality, is that Saturn and Neptune are conjunct in Aries. So it's really this like bigger level of like, I see a lot more people moving down the path of spiritual revelation, whatever that looks like for them. It's almost as though like people are like, oh wait, there's something to this believing in things and like having hope and faith. And for us that have been on that path already, it's like another level to that. So it's pretty cool, you know? And then this, you know, Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is in Virgo over here. So again, this energy is really supported by this Mars and Virgo. So start the daily practices. It's like my biggest thing with clients right now is like really helping people build like daily routines and like daily things that help support them through what they really want to build. Because once you have a container for yourself, it's chef's kiss. Woo! I don't even know. How long have I been talking? Oh, not that long. I don't know. When I start yapping, I don't know. Time just starts disappearing and suddenly, I don't know. Time just keeps going. But like those are all our transits for this week. And then let's look at the